Hello, this is Francis from McCaffrey's Crafts, and today I'm just continuing on with talking with my dad. And I thought today we talk about our time doing market selling, and especially around fairs. That for years my dad would have been like selling at the markets and fairs, and just to kind of get his kind of opinions and background. You're probably sick of hearing my opinions on this channel anyway. So just tell us about your times at the markets and selling Blackthorn and how you got on there.
Yeah, over the years, I would be going to most of the fairs and markets and a lot of vintage shows as well, because there was a lot of the elderly people who would be going to those who you would some very interesting chats with them, so they would be telling their story about, their area, and I would be investigating and asking them more questions about probably mostly about blackthorns and was there any known fates in their areas and all that, and they'd be telling me the history of their area, and yeah, they were good. There would be only 4 or 5 others stick sellers usually at where you get about 100 or 150 stalls, So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
What kind of sticks would they be selling?
Well, a lot of them would be for the cattle drovers. There would be more hazel or that type of flexi type stick,
Okay. Well, yeah, we can tell people about what a cattle stick is and what size
Oh
it
yes,
is and
that's
all of
it.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the cattle stick is they'd have to be they're about 4 foot long, but they're
Yeah.
more like a whippy typey thing. Like they don't want to damage any of the cattle or anything, but still, the cattle will know that there's someone tipping them with a bit of a
What
flex.
kind of wood was it made out of?
Oh, it would be made out of hazel.
Hazel. Okay.
The
So
hazel was very
4 foot
popular.
hazel.
Yeah, 4 foot hazel. But they would also use a willow as well,
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
willow,
It's
which
the
is another very, very
flexibility in that.
flexible, yeah. But yeah, a lot of them, and they would have no tip or anything on them, and they would have no knob either. It'd just be a straight type of a stick,
Okay. And why? Like I was always wondering, why is that to be specifically 4 foot? Like when they come and ask me, they were like, "I want the cattle stick for 4 foot exactly."
Well,
Like, I never really knew.
I think, to be honest, it's the height, because if you have 4 foot stick and if they're in the ring or round selling, they can know by putting the stick up again the animal they're buying. We'll say if it's a year old,
measurement.
and it's a measurement, but it's their own measurement. They're not saying anything about it, but they know, well, the 4 foot is on their stick. You see, that's the top of my stick. Or if you have a 4 foot 6 stick, and the same with the horse buyers as well, because horses are sold in hands.
Yeah.
Hands high. So the stick the horse lads would be measured for in hands,
Okay.
which I'm not sure of the measurement, but it could be 10 inches or something per foot or something. I'm not
Oh,
sure. Yeah. But
Okay,
it's a sort of an interesting one to have, yeah. That because you'd see it for the people that wouldn't know, they wouldn't understand it. But I noticed them, putting the stick up against a horse, from his back end and into the head, and yeah, and even across his width, they'd be holding with the 2 hands, but they'd be taking the measurements without saying anything,
Yeah.
Yeah, and looking into their teeth and see how old their teeth was, and it was, there'd be a tremendous banter there. But yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. Once the weather was good. Wet weather, you see, ruin you. You could do nothing on the wet weather.
Well, that's a good point to mention about how sticks had a practical use in terms of for measurements, and farmers used them as well, like at fairs and different things. So there's always been this kind of culture of having someone selling a few sticks around the fairs.
The where, you see, well, this is the where they were like a ruler in a sense as well, like, because people who would be stepping out land, if they were measuring, we'll say, for a building site, they would have they just have the measurement on a stick, like it could be a 6 foot, and they just, rather than having to be pacing it, because it's easy to say, oh, every 3 foot is a yard, but not if you're going over rough ground and you break your neck. But with the stick, you can just keep folding it over, and and it's not, you're just counting the number of times you went with the stick, and then just calculate how many times and add it up. Let's say if it was 6 foot long, well then that'd be we're all 6 foot every time you went.
Okay. And what was like the guys selling the sticks, like, were they all kind of your age bracket, or was there any younger people, or was it just what generation?
They mostly would be the older generation, all right, but there would be a few young lads with them, who would be sort of, they would be they wouldn't know much about the stick, like, but they'd sell it. They'd be trying to sell it, make a few pound for, they'd probably had, that was what they were getting from at home. They weren't getting anything at home, so they said we'll have to make a few.
They were just there to load up the car afterwards.
That was it. Yeah, they were only the helpers. Yeah, but yeah, there would be. But it's mostly the elderly, or from 40s over that age, But yeah, they were very interesting, like. But there would be other things too, like there'd be. What I'd be interested was the different types of tools, like rasps. People would be selling, other dealers, and I would be very interested in anything that I could use in my work. So you're talking about different types of rasps, files, and shaping tools,
So did you ever do a bit of barter, where you'd give a stick for a rasp, or was it more money?
Oh no, barter was great. Yeah, the barter system was tremendous. Like, a lot would, it was do a swap more, but it would be barter, but it's more just swap. I'll swap you this for that, and
Okay.
So there'd be no money to have to transfer, because if you needed something and they needed something, well, that's how you do it. Like, if they saw a nice stick that they wanted, and I maybe see they had some kind of a tool that I needed, like, maybe even a spoke shave, which is another type of a tremendously handy tool. It's a plane, but you have use both hands.
Yeah.
And it's especially for taking off barks and, shaping. If you have to taper a stick, like where you want to taper from an inch at the bottom, maybe to inch and a half at the top, and people want everything different, like, so. You have to. The customer is always right. Most of the times.
Were there any awkward customers at the markets?
Oh, gee, it was awkward. Will you stop? The fella would come with his Blackthorn stick, and I have this stick here the last 30 years. Look at that. He says the sticks. Yours aren't like my sticks at all.
It was a hazel, probably. Like.
Yeah, and the end with there was no rubber, and it had been worn. There was a big flange at the bottom where the timber had bubbled out. Over the constant use, and be full of muck and dirt, and lads, and he'd be a bit the same. Yeah, they were rough and ready, lad, but you'd enjoy them. Sure, that was part of the banter.
Yeah.
That's why I used to enjoy the banter at all them type of social gatherings, because we were all sort of talking and chatty and telling stories.
It's good to let people know about these fairs as well. Big social events, a bit of banter, plenty of Irish characters there, and plenty of mischief and drinking, I suppose, as well.
Well, after the fairs would be over, yes, the pubs would be loaded, and outside the doors, the sticks would be lined up, and that would be it. But it was very interesting, like. But within a radius of my home, I'd go about maybe 40 miles. That was about the farthest I would bother going,
Yeah.
But it was very interesting, like. And
how'd you get around? Was it horse and cart?
No, not them days.
Bikes.
Bikes. We had a old Morris Minor. we had a Morris Minor at the start of it, but we progressed.
That's okay.
Yeah, that was it. A Morris Minor was a great. You could load a lot of stuff into a large boot, like.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. Okay, look, we'll leave it at that there today for that video, just to let people know a little bit about the market side of things. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks for watching.